Welcome everyone to this exciting video. Sam, Will, and I are here to announce the winners of our annual photo contest. So first, thank you so much for watching this video. We are so excited that we had over 450 applicants submit photos to this contest, which is incredible. And Will, Sam, we saw some really cool photos, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're all so good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is a hard copy.
always so impressed with the students. And this one was really cool to just like, I feel like we gave a good amount of time and so many different categories. And, instead of like the 1 month challenges, it's kind of like, okay, here's just like full spectrum, just submit your best photo. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's some great ones
It
out
was
there.
fun to see all the categories. The fact that we had so many in so many different categories are very specific, I think is a testament to like all our students out there getting very specific and having style with their photography, which I think is super awesome.
Yeah, and what was cool was that when like kind of going through and verifying the photographers, seeing the range of people who submitted. Some are photographers who have a social media presence with like thousands of followers on Instagram, and others who actually won a category or they were an overall winner. They only had a few followers on Instagram or their platform. So it's cool to see that no matter it doesn't matter what your following is, what your experience is necessarily, you can take great photos. And we're going to get into it without further ado. We're going to start with the category winners, and we will have the grand finale with the overall winners. So just a reminder, we had different categories. I think we have 5. We'll show the winner. We will show some of the runners up, and then we'll show the top 3 overall winning photos. And everyone's going to get, the winners are going to get prizes. All these photos are going to be in a book that's going to be available for print purchase. And the winning photos we're going to send you a copy of it. So stay tuned for that.
And maybe worth mentioning that if the overall winners were taken out of their categories, so
Yes.
if your photo's on, so it might
So
be
if you
seen
didn't,
later in the top 3, but
yeah. So if you didn't win your category, there's still a chance you're going to get that overall prize. Cool. All right. So let's get into it. And our first category is portrait. And we're going to just launch with
so many good portraits.
The winning photo is this one by Edna Bontrager, shot with the Nikon D750. The Tamron 7200, which I loved. Everyone submitted their camera and lens too.
Yeah, I love
photos.
looking at that. Yeah, that's so cool.
And we'll see which cameras win the most categories. But I just love this creative. It's just a totally creative take on a portrait. Yeah, I don't know. Just really stood out as one that was memorable to me.
Yeah, I love it too. The contrast is probably, in subject and in exposure and black and white is like the best thing ever about this photo. And every time I look at it, I always want to like swap their faces so it's one face.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's so cool that it's not, right? Like you're doing that. This photo causes you to do that yourself in your brain, and I think that's what makes a good photo is it like activates your brain in some way, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah, definitely. Being able to fit both their faces in like that, and it's one of those things. I forget what it was, but there's like this old filmmaker where they said he'd have shots, and people would try and look around the corner to see, what else was in that frame was being
Yeah.
hidden, and it just fills it in a really nice way. And the lighting between the two skin tones is just lovely and perfect for a black and white image. Yeah, very well done.
Congrats, Edna, for winning the portrait category. So here's some of our other favorites. We'll just go through. And Nancy, this is we like this for a lot of reasons. Overall, this was one of my favorite photos too, and another kind of unique portrait with great lighting and a great story to it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like to me, it's just like a ton of story, and it's like, did they win? Did they lose? Are they about to start? Is this practice? Like, it's at the end of the day or early in the morning. Like there's so much going on to me in a storytelling aspect, and the fact that she framed it looking down the track, it's just like there's a little bit of curve, and the lines in this whole thing I just think are really, really great, and the color and the style, super cool.
Yeah, shot with the Canon R6, the
There it
16
is.
millimeter, 2.8.
Are we keeping track somewhere? Are we keeping time?
I'm keeping track. I do love, this is another point. I think we get a lot of questions about lenses and gear and all this stuff. 16 millimeter for a portrait. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like there is no rule with what focal length you're using, right? And this is, the colors, high contrast, putting the sun behind the subject. Lot of great things going on here.
Yeah. All right, got a few more. Brison shot with this portrait with the Nikon D3200. So a great sort of entry level camera, shooting one of our favorite portraits. Great colors. I mean, great expression. And I believe this was in the Diwali festival. They wrote in their comments, and just lovely lighting as well in this portrait.
Are the settings for this in this photo or metadata somewhere? Because I just love. I mean, maybe you can find them. But like my favorite thing about this is that the subject's right eye is not in focus. Like the focus is just the front eye and part of the nose, and I think that adds a lot of depth to it. I think if they were completely in focus, it'd be a totally different photo. And so, and it's something I think a lot of people will do, but for some reason, just the look on that face is helped by, or the other way around, right? The lack of focus is helped by the look on the face. I don't know. There's just something about it that looks like alive.
Yeah. Solid photo. Here's another one with lots of color, Dylan Griffiths, and this one was shot with the iPhone 11. Cool lighting. The comment was they shot this, it's like a projector that was projecting the light off of his face, and his shirt, just like all of it together. Super cool vibe going on with this portrait.
Yeah. Now I will say, as we went through this process of selecting photos and all this stuff, I mean, this is also, everyone's going to have their preferences and stuff, and really going through and seeing how creative people got, the setups that people did. Some of these are just by being out in the world, and some of these are like, let's get projector and like set this up in our home and get creative. And it's really cool to see the different approaches people took for it.
Yeah,
totally.
All right. Oh, this was such a good one.
I love this one.
And I don't know if you guys noticed, but when we were going through these photos, we got 450 plus photos. So, going through them a few times, I saw the mom, I saw the baby, both drinking bottles. It took several times for me to see the kid
at the bottom
legs.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that's such a good, and I could totally relate to, what this parent is going through. So storytelling wise, this was one of my favorite portraits.
Same. Yeah. I really felt like the moment and just the I can only imagine. I don't have any kids, but the constant. I mean, I don't know, taking a sip while feeding the kid while having another kid crawling through your legs. I mean, that's just, parenthood at its finest. So
Eric, awesome photo, shot with the Canon 700D and the 55. That must be the 55 to 250 millimeter lens. That's a mistake.
I don't know, that new 2000 to 500.
So Eric, that was a great photo. Cool. So those were our favorite portraits, and let's move on to our landscape category. And drum roll for our winner is Sukh Banwait with the A6600. This is a beautiful photo in Yosemite. Nice reflection. Just really kind of the perfect landscape photo. Putting it all together.
I was looking at this morning, just as like a recap before we did this, and I spent so much time on this photo because it is like one of those photos where like everything feels still and calm, and like you know landscape, right, is serene, and then you look at this like aggressive waterfall in the background, and you feel the emotion, and there's like rushing water and you can hear it, but it's in the background of the stillness. And I think that that's so hard to achieve. I don't think I've ever done something like this. And I think that that's what separates this photo from the other landscape photos, is just that sort of contrast to me in stillness and action. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think there's
absolutely.
like a lot of photos of Yosemite that are classic photos, and a beginner might like just try to zoom in on that waterfall, but to find this placement with the water and reflection is just really
Subtle.
really
Yeah.
great. So congrats, Sukh. We will be contacting you about your prize, and let's look at some of our other favorite landscapes. This is Justin Lawton. And this one, you guys didn't see the descriptions, but in the book that we're printing out, we've included the write-up that people have written. And Justin, this was a photo that he took a week after a friend died in a fire, I believe. And it was one of the reasons why this meant so much to him. And, we weren't basing our top photos off of the story necessarily, because we weren't reading those. It was just based off of the photo itself and that impact. But knowing that story just adds so much to this photo.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, the first time I saw this, I was blown away by it. And now hearing that story just makes it even more impactful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It really is just so many elements coming together. Just how that mist is captured, placement, so many different elements coming together to make a great photo. And I don't know how much it was edited, but the colors of it are just, I love those colors.
Yeah.
So really, yeah.
So Justin, thanks for sharing this
With an
one.
unknown camera, man.
Yeah, they didn't put the camera, but it was the Tamron 24-70.
Yeah.
Paul shooting with the Fujifilm X-H2 with this
Fuji.
great landscape, layers upon layers, and I love the edit on this one where you're not seeing the detail. The trees are silhouetted in the foreground, and I think that just adds, for me, just the nice layering effect from the gradient of the light mountains in the background to the silhouetted trees in the foreground.
Yeah,
Paul,
I mean,
great photo.
layers. Yeah, so many good layers.
Yeah. All right, next photo is Brett DeGia with the Sony A7 IV. Another really nicely composed image with the landscape, but also all of these kayaks in the foreground. Very cool. Very cool shot. Nice colors too. And then also we've got Michael Simpson with the Canon D90 with this sort of ethereal landscape photo.
Yeah, this one's gnarly because there's motion in the tilt, maybe, but there's it's frozen in the background. So, yeah, I mean, I know that when you have a difference in foreground versus background, the foreground's going to move faster than the background if you're moving. So I think that that's what happened here. But if it was done on purpose, wow, that's cool. I've never thought to do something like that.
Yeah, cool photo, Michael. And then we've got Bodhi with this one, and this was shot on the iPhone 13. This was on a skiing trip in Chile, and it was of a volcano that
It's a volcano.
Yeah.
Chaiten, I think.
Very cool.
Yeah. I love how the clouds are sort of overtaking the top of the mountain, and then that goes into the sky, and so it's this gnarly ascent looking, and it just sort of disappears into the clouds. It's really, yeah. That'd be a good one to print.
Yeah, that would be a nice framed photo. Yeah. Cool. So those were our top landscape photos. Congrats again to everyone who submitted photos. So let's get to our wildlife photos. And we do have to talk really quickly about a wildlife photo that we found out, and just in general we're dealing with. We found out one of our favorite photos was a either AI generated photo or some sort of composite of images edited in something like Photoshop. And this is just something we're dealing with in this age of AI photography. It was one of the rules that we had, that we weren't allowing that type of photography, and your photo submissions were supposed to be just photos out of camera, but you can't edit, when in Lightroom, like brightness, sharpness, all that kind of editing. But just if you don't see your photo here, it might be because it was a great photo, but it was against the rules we had for the composition, the contest. So we will, figure out how to deal with this in the future. Maybe we need a category for best edited composite or best AI generated photo.
No, that's, I mean,
No.
it's digital art, and by all means, I think people are doing amazing things with it, and there's a place for that, and I encourage everyone to play with it and do amazing Photoshop collages and do all that stuff. It's incredible what you can do, but
You don't consider it
within
photography?
this, it's a form of digital art, and in this, and what a lot of people submitted, and what we ask people to do is, share a single frame that you've taken a photo of, and appreciate everyone that did that, and also, just please, respect those guidelines, and don't add in things to photos or use AI to generate things.
It was a photo. We don't need to call out the photographer, if you're the one, but it was a photo that we all really loved. It was one of our favorite photos.
Tricked us.
It started to be like, this is so good. The edition, which we found out because we saw the original photo, it changed the story and the impact of the image so much that it wasn't just like cloning out or healing brushing something out of the background. It was an addition,
adding a subject.
Yeah, that totally changed it. So anyways, I hope all the photos that we're showing weren't AI generated. We tried to check, but anyways, let's get on to our top wildlife photos, and the winner is this one by Steve Bonisteel, shot with the Nikon D8500. A great story of two animals going after some peanuts that were placed there, but I just, this is a hard photo to get with one animal, and to capture that one moment with both of these animals there, really cool photo.
Yeah, what great composition. I mean, having the setup, I believe they said that this was sort of, is at their cottage, and that they put these out for the animals, and these are the two animals to typically show up. But to get the bird's wings like that, to get the chipmunk eating one, I mean, it's just to get the action right, that both are, clearly seen. You can see their eyes, you can see the moment. The colors of, the changing colors of the leaves with the blue, and it's a wonderful image.
Yeah. All right. Congrats, Steve. All right. Here are some of our other favorites. This one, Benjamin shot this with the Nikon Z6. This primate was bathing in a hot spring in Japan, and it looks like it's snowing. So pretty smart monkey there to be doing that.
One smart monkey.
Yeah, really classic shot. I feel like I've seen photos like this before of these. Must happen at this location. But in terms of technical, shot of this animal, really, really cool photo. Benjamin, we got David with the Canon 90D. So a fairly, entry-level camera, sort of mid-tier camera, but a great lens at Sigma 150 to 600.
I'd be curious what this was actually at, but man, anything after 150, you get that bokeh smoothness in the background with that real sharp foreground of the subject. It's just so cool looking.
Yeah.
I was so curious, and I David, maybe comment in the group or something, but I was so curious if he removed certain colors to make this very yellow palette, or if these are just the natural colors. Like I was so curious. I couldn't tell for this bird, like, because the yellow beak, like I feel like that's right, but like, was there a tint on there, or is this actually how it naturally looks. But
Yeah, just lovely
yeah.
colors, lovely framing within the frame of these leaves and the
Hmm. Hmm.
branches. And sometimes what I found with bird photography is that, it's hard to get with a clean background because they're in trees or something. And this one, it was perfect because the head of the bird, the background's just so far away, and it's that clean sort of sky, and then that great, yellow below. Really cool photo. Awesome. Another bird photo we like from Carrie Moyer with the
HR puffin
Nikon.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, really cool shot. I mean, it's just hard to get photos like this. So great job, Carrie.
Who doesn't love a puffin?
And then this one, Glenn, bag shot. This is a very cool photo of this bear going after this, looks like a salmon, shot with the Nikon D500.
Nikon's
200
taken
to
off.
500. I know.
Nikon's
Yeah,
on
Nikon,
the way.
a
There's
lot
a
of
lot of Nikons in this one
Nikons.
for sure.
So, yeah, just a really cool moment. I mean, you had to be sitting there for a while to be able to capture a shot like this. So those were our favorite wildlife shots. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted them. And now let's go over our street and architecture winners. So our winning photo is this one by Omar, shot with the Fuji X-T3.
I love that one.
And the story behind this one was this is a horse race in Upper Egypt as a celebration of the region's heritage and traditions. And just the sight of thousands of horses in this, doing this sort of traditional dance with music was a really cool shot. And yeah, we really love this photo. This was very close to winning one of our top 3 spots.
I just like all the emotion in it, and like where it is, and just the timing and the color and the composition, having it framed, and the dust. I mean, it's just, there's so much movement in it too. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a very alive photo, a lot of personality, great colors, and another one that I would love to see printed. I feel like this would do really well, especially being part of the celebration and stuff. I think it'd be a great print.
And the street category kind of was a bucket. I mean, you think of street photography and it's maybe out in the city, but like it was kind of a bucket that we felt like we added photos that would be something you were just out and about and you happen to see. And you'll see that in a couple of these photos. It's not necessarily in a cityscape. And like this next one, Kya That Sint, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing anybody's name, but with the Nikon Z7. And this was in the morning light, the sunrise of a fisherman and his wife preparing for fishing at a lakeside.
So dramatic. And it's another Nikon too.
Yeah.
And
they really, I mean,
they pushed the
great
edit,
moment,
but
out in the water. Yeah.
Yeah, the colors like really kind of push that HDR feel, but yeah, without the I'm assuming the wife, they said, in the background looking after those nets too, it would be like a different, not as good, but with both of them there, really cool composition. All right, next one is Veronica Francardo, one of our Photography and Friends Plus members, shot with the XT4. Gotta appreciate that. And Very has posted a ton of street photos to our community and has really pushed her skills. And this is one that I think stands out. A little long exposure to capture that motion, but also this guy here kind of just standing still. I'm going to read the description, but what do you guys like about this photo?
I mean,
go for it.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. Again, like for me, it's like all about the motion, and the fact that she singled out this one guy. But on top of that, it's like very style, which we call, right, because she's in our group all the time, where there's color isolated against black and white, but not only that, there's motion isolated with stillness again, right? And she composed it well. I mean, look at all these lines.
Yeah.
And I wonder how fast these people are moving, and for her to know like the shutter speed along with all the settings to nail this. I mean, it's when you have a creative vision and you're able to execute it based on the technology that I think is impressive.
Yeah. And she said this guy was just kind of there reading his newspaper slowly. So it wasn't like, this wasn't a composite of like a fast shutter shot and then a long exposure. It was just this moment, which was very cool to capture it this way.
Yeah, I think this is, in terms of, I guess, more traditional street photography, I think this category became somewhat travel and street photography and architecture.
Yeah.
This not only sort of captures this train system where you have, these stairs in the background, stairs in the foreground, but like Will said, it's also this technical expertise that to play with your camera settings while, just out in the world and actually, get a more creative shot like this it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And I love that Very has like I can, even without seeing her name, I'm like, oh, this is a Very photo, because she has that distinct style that is a big thing as a photographer, to sort of develop that look that is your own. So yeah.
Here's a couple more street photos we like. This one, Margaret shot this one, Nikon D810.
That's in San Diego.
This is in San Diego. She thought the sign was funny, getting old sucks. And this, again, is like a great example of a street photo. It could be a portrait too, but just one of those moments, those people, those characters you see out and about that stands out. So Margaret, great photo. This one, in terms of architecture and sort of patterns and that style, I thought was really cool. With this building in the background, the stairs, and then just all the people there on there. Kind of trippy, like seeing that building in the background. I forget where this is, but cool photo.
Paris, I think.
Is it Paris?
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, there are pigeons on the ground, so. And that's shot with iPhone 13 Pro. So, great camera for shooting street photography, just the one that's with you. All right. Last one, I think, for street photography. This one, camera unknown, Nicoletta, but cool lighting in this museum. And you see sort of the hint of the big skeleton.
It's an natural museum. I actually have been standing in that exact same spot and taken a very similar photo, and it's beautiful, but it's hard to achieve the light, exposure.
Yeah. Very cool with those windows in the background.
This one, and I don't know that it even works with the windows based off of the angle. It'd be great if they would just raise up that massive skeleton a little bit higher, so that when that beam of light comes through, it was hitting. Like, I think that would have just taken this photo to a whole nother level. It's just that the lighting, everything's so beautiful, but it's like, oh, I just wish we could see that
a little bit more.
Whale, I believe.
She could have probably edited it a little bit more and maybe done some isolated exposure, but not having the actual light beam hit it. That would be awesome. Cool. Those were some of our favorite street and architecture photos. And our last category is night and astrophotography. And I would say that all the other categories, Will, Sam, and I were kind of all over the place, but this is one category we agreed a lot on these photos. So our winning photo was this one, Tommy Wisner, Nikon D750.
Man, Nikon, clearly the Nikons have won this competition.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But the Milky Way, galaxy, the leading lines of the street, just all of it combined, the lighting.
This is really just cool so hard to achieve, right? It's like already shooting the Milky Way is incredibly difficult, and then you center it with a road.
Yeah.
That is so hard to do, timing wise and everything. Just really great.
Yeah. And very close second place, I feel like, was this one here, Frank Mason, another Milky Way galaxy shot with foreground elements, which this one was very cool with I don't know if this is in arches or what, but really cool rock formation in the foreground and cool edit too with the colors. Really like this one. And then our other ones, this was a different one, but I really like this one. Tristan shot this one, DJI mini drone from up above, long exposure of
Yeah,
the lights on the highway on
long
these
exposure
bridges.
from an aerial photography, pretty cool.
Very cool photo. I one all these I would like to see printed, but this one I thought would be very cool. Eric, a couple, the Milky Way galaxy shots. It's hard to not love those ones. This one, really cool photo.
I
Sony
love the colors of this one
A7 II,
too. Yeah.
very cool. And then this one, Andre Santos. This was I forget where this was at, but just
Lisbon.
a cool setup, art structure or something. This was in Lisbon, Portugal. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this one also, in terms of like technical know-how, the fact that you still have some definitions in the shadows, you still have that real like blue hour post or sunrise or after sunset, but and then to highlight this architectural thing that this art sculpture. You could take the same photo with just complete blackness and it's not nearly as dynamic as still having some of those textures around and whatnot. So
Yeah. Cool photo, Andre. And then Abraham got the Aurora Borealis Northern Lights here. Canon EOS R and the 24-70 lens. Very cool photos, everyone. All right.
Good job.
Well, round of applause for all of the winners of the categories and also everyone who submitted photos. And there were so many that didn't make the cut for our top 5 or so top photos. But again, so many great photos. So here we've made it to the end to our top photos of the year. Here are our top 3. And again, if you won top photo overall, one of our top 3, you were disqualified from the category winning. But let's get to it. So starting off with the bronze prize photo, Dimitrios Gousetis with the Fuji X-T4 and the Viltrox 75mm lens. This one was one of my favorite photos. This one is like a street style photo. The colors are really beautiful, and it's one of those photos that just, for me, I look at and I see something new, and you realize the moment was just perfect. It's a little hard for you to see, but you see like these girls jumping in the water right now. You see this other guy right here sunbathing in the corner, and I kind of like it kind of feels like a tight crop. You could have zoomed out if you had a wider lens, and there's probably more going on. But I kind of like that tight crop of everything, like fills to the edge of this photo. Just looks like a kind of a painting to me. I really like this photo. So
yeah, there's just so much to look at.
Yeah.
It's like a Where's Waldo image. That's another one like where I think really, big print of it and just all the little details, all the personality and characters, and a great scenery from. What was this in? Where was this?
It says Sikinos port. So I don't know if that's in Greece or in Cyclades. If I'm not right, sorry about that. But really cool color editing too. So they definitely did a little bit of like hue shifts here and there with that, but very cool. Kind of that contrast of the teals and the oranges is that nice contrast that you see in a lot of photography and artwork. So congrats, Dimitrios, with the bronze prize. All right, our silver prize is Billy Joe Brison, and this was one of Will's favorite photos overall. So take it, Will.
This was one of my favorite photos. Mostly, I'd say overall, it's really cool. But I think it stands out from a lot of the other photos and most photography. For starters, like the crop itself is something different that we don't see in a lot of other submissions. The like square crop, in addition with like the frame within a frame, and then nailing it with the bird coming out. The like low contrast, like the blacks aren't quite black. It's like a little muddy, and I don't know. The whole thing just gives me a nice warm. Like I can see myself sitting in this room, reading a book with like a cup of coffee or something. Just like I feel like it extends a lot of emotion to the viewer. And I don't know, I just love it. It just makes me feel calm. I would love this as a print, honestly.
Yeah, I showed this one to my wife, and she was like, "This reminds me of a Dali photo or painting," and she showed
Yeah,
me one of
painting.
his, and I was like, "Oh yeah, totally."
It's
And I
just
don't
got
know if you
vibe.
noticed, but from the description, I didn't notice when I saw this. This was actually, it must be some sort of amusement thing. It's an upside down house. So the photo is not upside down, but you see that like the
What?
window curtains, it's
Mm-hmm.
like upside down. This is like supposed to be like the top of the house. Weird, huh?
Wait, is the photo upside down?
No, the photo
No,
is
the
not upside
houses.
down. They said
The
the house is
portal to
upside
the
down.
outside world was taken in an upside down house and by accident. The seagull was the perfect subject.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't
The house is
know.
upside down.
I mean, it's definitely not like upside down. It's not an upside down photo because like the lighting wouldn't work that way with like the lighting on the floor coming through the.
You
It's
mean the
like it
ceiling?
must. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But
I don't
anyways,
know.
Billy Joe, really cool, clean photo. We loved it. Congrats.
So good.
And the gold prize top winning photo for 2023 is this beautiful portrait by Olga, shot with the Canon R6, the 85 millimeter 1.2, which is one of our favorite portrait lenses. And Sam, this was one of your favorite photos. So, what did you love about this one?
Yeah, this photo immediately I just first thing put in to my top folder. I think there's so many elements that make it just a really beautiful photo, but then also sort of controlling the subject matter, setting the stage. I mean, obviously more in a studio setting with a certain, um,
Mm-hmm.
background that has a little texture to it, the colors, the fact that the dress adds almost. I had to look at it a couple of times. Like it almost looks like that had moved, and that there's like a slow exposure there, and it's creating sort of this like moving water look to it. But yeah, I just feel like there's so many elements that came together of really, technical expertise, and then really
Mm-hmm.
creating a photo, opposed to, I love street photography, I love landscape photography. And maybe I gravitated towards this because it felt like something that I wouldn't normally create,
Mm-hmm.
of really, controlling what's in the frame.
Yeah.
But the colors, the facial expression, holding the flower in such a certain way, yeah, just so many elements coming together that I thought worked really well. And also, even though having the 85 1.2, I would guess that this wasn't taken at 1.2. I would guess that this was like a slightly higher f-stop, which I just think adds that sort of clarity and crispiness. But yeah, just loved a lot of things about this photo. Think it's a really wonderful portrait, and excited to see more work from Olga.
Yeah, and talking about making, making photos, taking the time to set this up. The purpose of this was kind of creating that fall vibe. So Olga created that headdress. She picked that actual dress and to get that sort of vibe. And this is her daughter that she took this portrait of. So yeah, just technically, I've never taken a portrait as cool as this one. So it's just cool to see like our students just excelling in different types of portraiture. Like you said, like not just the standard street photos or the family photos you take outside in a nice place, but studio portraiture with lighting and everything like that. Very difficult to take a photo like this. Awesome. Cool. Well, everyone, congrats for submitting photos. Congrats to all of our winners. We'll be sharing these photos on our social media pages, giving you shout outs. And we are printing them in a book as well. And in the book, it's going to contain the description of all the photos, also links to all the photographers' social media. We will likely be sending that out as a PDF, and also it'll be available for purchase. We just want to share these photos and these photographers with the world. And the winners will get the book and also the prizes that we had. So you'll be getting an email from us shortly. But yeah, Will, Sam, any last thoughts about the contest or anything else?
No, I'm just excited that we got them all together, and thank you all for submitting. It's so fun to actually see what you guys are doing. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all for taking the time, and I think this is, creating the photo book. We've been putting that together, and it's just looking really cool. And I always am, print your photos, do that kind of thing. So to actually make the photo book this year, and I hope next year we'll do it again, and get even more submissions, and get people maybe spending the year dreaming up the image that they want to submit. But
Yeah.
it's always fun to see all of your work. I think people are doing such cool things out there, and I love the storytelling. I love hearing more about, the shot that they were going after, or the scene that it was that they captured. I really think that adds so much to each image. So thank you all for
Absolutely.
taking the time. Yeah.
Cool. Well, you can continue the journey with us over at photographyandfriends.com. That's where we have our community, which is free to join, and you can ask questions, take part in our challenges, and just, dialogue with other photographers on this journey. And of course, if you're interested in other courses, we have a number of classes. And what's cool is we asked all the contestants what class they took of ours, and we have students in classes from the Photography Masterclass, but to our in our individual food photography, travel photography, mobile photography classes as well. So it's cool to see students from across the gamut of our classes, and you could check those out too if you want to up your photo game. All of that's at photographyandfriends.com. All right, Sam, Will, thanks for being here with us, and everyone, have a beautiful day, and congrats again to the winners. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.